In a world that glorifies constant connection and social interaction, the idea of choosing to be alone is often met with skepticism and fear. But what if I told you that the most profound growth and self-discovery can only happen in the quiet moments of solitude? While society pushes us to seek validation through relationships and social media, the truth is that true empowerment lies in embracing our own company. Choosing to be alone is not a sign of weakness. It's a bold declaration of independence. It's a radical act of self-love that challenges the very fabric of our social norms. Are you ready to defy the expectations of the world and discover the strength that comes from within? We often find ourselves caught in the whirlwind of life, surrounded by noise, distractions, and the constant pull of others' expectations. In this chaotic dance, we sometimes forget the most profound relationship we can cultivate is the one with ourselves. The truth is, choosing to be alone can be one of the most empowering decisions you ever make. It's a choice that invites you to explore the depths of your own soul, to discover who you truly are beyond the roles you play and the masks you wear. When was the last time you sat in silence, just you and your thoughts? In our fast-paced world, solitude is often seen as a void to be filled, a state to be avoided. But what if I told you that in that silence lies the key to your liberation? In those moments of solitude, you can peel back the layers of your identity and confront the essence of your being. You can ask yourself the hard questions. What do I truly want? What brings me joy? What fears have held me captive? Let's take a moment to reflect on the power of solitude. Think about a time when you felt overwhelmed by the demands of others. Perhaps it was a relationship that drained your energy or a job that left you feeling unfulfilled. In those moments, did you ever consider that stepping back, choosing to be alone, could be the very thing that recharges your spirit? Solitude is not about isolation. It's about connection, connecting with your inner self, your dreams, and your desires. When you choose to be alone, you create space for self-discovery. You allow yourself to explore your passions without the influence of others. You can dive into hobbies that excite you, read books that inspire you, or simply sit in nature and listen to the whispers of the wind. In these moments, you begin to understand what truly resonates with your soul. You start to recognize the beauty of your own company. Consider the metaphor of a garden. When you plant seeds, you must give them time to grow. You can't rush the process. Similarly, when you choose solitude, you are planting the seeds of self-awareness and personal growth. You are nurturing your inner garden, allowing it to flourish in its own time. And just like a garden, your growth may not always be visible at first, but with patience and care, you will see the blossoms of your true self emerge. Now let's talk about the fear that often accompanies solitude. Many people fear being alone because it forces them to confront their thoughts and feelings. It can be uncomfortable to sit with our emotions, especially the ones we bury deep within. But here's the truth, feelings are not your enemies. They are your teachers. When you allow yourself to feel, to process, and to understand your emotions, you open the door to healing. You begin to release the burdens you've carried for so long. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to distract ourselves? We scroll through social media, binge watch shows, or fill our schedules with endless activities. These distractions serve as a temporary escape, but they prevent us from facing our inner truth. When you choose solitude, you are choosing to confront those truths head-on. You are saying, I am ready to face myself. And in that readiness lies immense power. As you embark on this journey of self-discovery, you may encounter moments of doubt. You might question whether you are enough, whether you are worthy of love and happiness. But remember, these doubts are not facts. They are merely thoughts. And thoughts can be changed. When you spend time alone, you can challenge those negative beliefs. You can replace them with affirmations of your worthiness. You can remind yourself that you are deserving of all the beauty life has to offer. Let's take a moment to explore the idea of self-acceptance. Choosing to be alone gives you the opportunity to embrace who you are, flaws and all. It allows you to let go of the need for external validation. You don't need anyone else to define your worth. You are enough just as you are. This realization is liberating. It frees you from the shackles of comparison and competition. You can finally celebrate your uniqueness without the fear of judgment. In solitude, you also have the chance to reflect on your relationships. Are they nourishing your spirit or are they draining your energy? When you take a step back, you can evaluate the dynamics in your life. You can choose to surround yourself with people who uplift you, who inspire you to be your best self. You can let go of toxic relationships that no longer serve you. This process of discernment is essential for your growth. As you continue on this path, you may find that solitude enhances your creativity. When you are alone, you can tap into your imagination without the constraints of others' opinions. You can explore new ideas, experiment with different forms of expression, and allow your creativity to flow freely. This is where innovation happens. You see, most of us live our lives as emotional puppets, allowing others to pull our strings. Someone cuts us off in traffic. We get angry. A coworker makes a snide remark. We feel hurt. A family member criticizes our choices. We become defensive. But what if I told you that this is all based on an illusion? The illusion that others have control over our mind, though it is both simple and profound. No external force, no person, no circumstance has the power to disturb your inner peace unless you grant them that. This isn't just a nice idea. It's a fundamental law of human consciousness that has been understood by the wisest minds throughout history. Think about the last time someone made you angry. Now pause for a moment and consider this. Did they reach inside your mind and create that anger? Did they physically install that emotion in your consciousness? Or did you generate that response based on your interpretation of their actions? The answer becomes clear when we observe that the same event can trigger completely different responses in different people. One person might be deeply offended by a comment that another finds amusing. How can this be if the external trigger is identical? Because our responses come from within us, not from the event itself. This understanding isn't about becoming emotionally numb or disconnected. It's about achieving something far more powerful, emotional sovereignty. When you truly grasp this principle, you'll find yourself responding to life's challenges from a place of conscious choice rather than unconscious reaction. Every time you blame someone else for your emotional state, you're actually giving away your power. You're saying you control how I feel. You have more power over my emotional well-being than I do. Is this really the truth you want to live by? The path to emotional freedom begins with simple but revolutionary shift in perspective. Instead of asking, why are they doing this to me? Start asking, what within me is choosing to react this way? This shift moves you from victim to creator, from reactive to responsive, from powerless to powerful. When you find yourself in situations that would normally trigger anger or disturbance, remember that you're standing at a crucial decision point. In that space between stimulus and response lies your greatest power, the power to choose. You can choose to let someone's actions dictate your emotional state, or you can choose to maintain your inner peace. But let's be honest, this isn't always easy. Our automatic reactions have been conditioned over years, sometimes decades. They've become our default programming. Changing this programming requires conscious effort and practice. It requires us to develop new habits of mind, new ways of perceiving and responding to the world around us. The key lies in understanding that other people's behaviors are always about them, not about you. When someone lashes out in anger, when they criticize or judge, they're really projecting their own inner state onto the world around them. Just as a projector can only project what's on its film, people can only project what's within them. This understanding leads to a profound sense of compassion when you realize that angry people are suffering people, that critical people are insecure people, that controlling people are fearful people. It becomes much easier to maintain your emotional equilibrium in their presence. Your task isn't to fix them or change them. It's to maintain your own inner peace regardless of their behavior. This doesn't mean you become a doormat or tolerate abuse. On the contrary, maintaining your emotional sovereignty allows you to set boundaries and respond to inappropriate behavior from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. Think of yourself as the sky and other people's behaviors as weather patterns. Storms may come and go, but the sky remains unaffected in its essence. It doesn't fight the storms or try to prevent them. It simply maintains its nature while allowing the weather to pass through. This metaphor points to a deeper truth. Your essential nature is peace. Disturbance is always something added to that peace, something you're doing rather than something being done to you. When you fully realize this, you'll find yourself naturally returning to peace, even in the midst of life's greatest challenges. Let me share something powerful with you. Every time you feel bothered by someone's actions, you're actually looking at a mirror, not a window. What bothers us in others is often a reflection of something unresolved within ourselves. This isn't comfortable to hear, but it's a truth that can set you free. When we react strongly to someone's behavior, it's usually because they're triggering something within us that needs attention. If someone's success makes us envious, we're really confronting our own unfulfilled potential. If someone's criticism stings deeply, we're facing our own self-doubt. If someone's arrogance irritates us, we might be wrestling with our own pride. This mirror principle reveals why two people can have completely different reactions to the same person or situation. What appears as an unbearable character flaw to one person might not even register as notable to another. The difference lies not in what's being observed, but in the observer. Consider your emotional reactions as messengers. They're not telling you about the other person, they're telling you about yourself. When you feel anger rising, instead of immediately directing that energy outward, turn inward and ask, what is this reaction trying to teach me about? The beauty of this approach is that it puts you back in the driver's seat of your emotional life, instead of feeling victimized by others' behaviors. You begin to see every triggering interaction as an opportunity for self-discovery and growth. Your greatest irritations become your greatest teachers. Let's look at how this works in practice. Suppose someone consistently shows up late to meetings with you. The common response would be to feel disrespected and angry. But what if you use this as an opportunity to examine your relationship with control? What if their lateness is triggering your fear of not being valued? Once you identify the real source of your disturbance, you can address it at its root. Here's something most people never realize. The very act of trying not to be bothered by someone is what keeps you bothered by them. It's like trying not to think about a pink elephant. The more you try, the more it dominates your thoughts. The real transformation happens when you understand that inner peace isn't something you achieve through effort. It's what remains when you stop disturbing yourself. Think about water for a moment. When water is still, it naturally reflects everything perfectly. You don't have to teach water how to reflect. It's its natural state. The only thing that disturbs this reflection is movement, either from within or without. Your consciousness is exactly the same. Its natural state is peace. The only thing disturbing that peace is movement, the movement of resistance, judgment, and reaction. This understanding changes everything. Instead of asking, how can I not let this person bother me? You begin asking, why am I choosing to be disturbed by this? Notice the shift in responsibility. Notice how this new question puts you back in the driver's seat of your emotional life. Let me share a powerful insight with you. Most of what we call emotional maturity is simply slowing down. It's creating space between stimulus and response. When someone says something hurtful, instead of immediately reacting, you pause. In that pause lies your freedom. In that pause lies your power to choose. The world is full of people who will gladly tell you how you should feel, what you should think, how you should live. But here's the liberating truth. You don't have to pick up what they're putting down. You don't have to accept their judgment as your reality. You don't have to let their limited perception become your prison. Anytime you allow someone to rob you of your peace, you're essentially saying, your behavior is more powerful than my commitment to inner peace. Is this really the message you want to send to yourself? Is this really how you want to live your life? Your emotional state is too precious to be put in the hands of people who don't know your worth, who don't understand your journey, who are acting from their own unhealed wounds. Guard your peace as you would guard a precious jewel. Don't give it away to every situation that demands it. Every person who tests it, every circumstance that challenges it. This doesn't mean you shouldn't establish healthy boundaries or communicate your needs. But it does mean you can do so from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. You're no longer trying to change their behavior to make yourself feel better. You're addressing the situation from a place of self-awareness and emotional maturity. Think of emotional triggers as spiritual alarm clocks. They're wake-up calls alerting you to areas within yourself that need attention and healing. When someone's behavior pushes your buttons, those buttons weren't installed by them. They were already there, waiting to be pushed. The path to emotional freedom requires radical honesty with yourself. Every time you feel bothered, ask yourself, what part of me is being triggered here? What unhealed aspect of myself am I seeing in this mirror? This level of self-inquiry might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's the fastest route to lasting peace. Remember, this journey isn't about becoming impervious to others or building emotional walls. It's about developing such a strong foundation of inner peace that external disturbances can't shake you. It's about being so deeply rooted in your own worth that others' opinions and actions lose their power over you. Think of yourself as a deep ocean. The surface may be disturbed by waves and storms, but the depths remain calm and undisturbed. This is your natural state. Peace isn't something you need to achieve. It's something you need to uncover by removing the layers of reactivity that obscure it. The key to maintaining this peace lies in understanding that everyone is doing the best they can with their current level of awareness. This doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it helps you respond from wisdom rather than reaction. When someone behaves poorly, they're acting from their own pain, their own limitations, their own unhealed wounds. This understanding naturally gives rise to compassion. When someone is rude to you in a store, instead of taking it personally, you might wonder what kind of day they're having, what burdens they might be carrying. This shift from judgment to compassion not only preserves your peace, but also contributes to healing the collective human experience. Every time you choose not to react with anger, you're not just maintaining your own peace, you're contributing to the peace of the whole world. Your choice to respond with understanding rather than judgment creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond the immediate interaction. The practice of emotional sovereignty requires vigilance and commitment. It means catching yourself in those moments when you're about to give your power away to someone else's behavior. It means choosing, again and again, to return to your center rather than being pulled into someone else's emotional storm. As you develop this practice, you'll find yourself becoming like a lighthouse, stable, unwavering, offering light even in the midst of storms. Your presence becomes a reminder to others of the possibility of remaining peaceful regardless of external circumstances. This journey of emotional mastery isn't about reaching a destination where nothing ever bothers you. It's about developing the capacity to return to peace more quickly when you do get disturbed. It's about shortening the gap between trigger and awareness, between reaction and conscious response. One of the most powerful tools for maintaining inner peace is understanding that every person you encounter is your teacher. The ones who trigger you the most are often your greatest instructors. They show you where you still have work to do, where you still have room to grow in your emotional mastery. The person who cuts you off in traffic becomes your teacher of patience. The coworker who takes credit for your work becomes your teacher of self-worth. The family member who criticizes your choices becomes your teacher of self-trust. When you view challenging people through this lens, every difficult interaction becomes an opportunity for growth. The people who bother you are actually doing you a great service. They're showing you the places within yourself where you're still attached, still reactive, still giving your power away. Without these teachers, how would you know where you need to grow? But here's where many people get stuck. They wait for others to change before they can find peace. They think, I'll be happy when my partner becomes more understanding, or I'll feel better when my boss starts appreciating me. This is like waiting for the waves to stop before you're willing to swim in the ocean. The waves will never stop. You have to learn to swim regardless of the conditions. The key to emotional freedom lies in taking complete responsibility for your inner state. This doesn't mean blaming yourself when you feel disturbed. It means empowering yourself to choose your response regardless of external circumstances. It means understanding that your peace is too precious to be put in someone else's hands. Think about how much energy you spend wishing people were different than they are. Wishing your spouse was more attentive, your children were more responsible, your colleagues were more cooperative. All this wishing creates a gap between reality and your expectations. And in that gap lives all your... The solution isn't to lower your standards or accept poor behavior. It's to separate your inner peace from other people's actions. You can maintain high standards while remaining unshakable in your emotional center. You can communicate boundaries clearly while staying rooted in tranquility. This brings us to a crucial understanding. The opposite of reactivity isn't passivity, it's conscious response. When you're truly free from being bothered by others, you're not being a doormat. You're actually in the most powerful position to take appropriate action because your decisions come from clarity rather than emotional turbulence. Let me share a powerful practice with you. The next time someone's behavior threatens to disturb your peace, pause and ask yourself, is this worth giving away my serenity for? Am I willing to let this person's actions determine my emotional state? What would it look like to respond from my highest self rather than my triggered self? This pause, this space between stimulus and response, is where your power lives. In that space, you can choose to maintain your peace, regardless of what others do or say. You can choose to see the situation from a higher perspective, one that isn't clouded by emotional reactivity. Remember, staying peaceful doesn't mean becoming passive or suppressing your emotions. It means responding from a place of conscious choice rather than unconscious reaction. It means maintaining your center while taking whatever action is appropriate to the situation. Consider how much of your life energy has been wasted on being bothered by things you can't control. Think about how many hours you've spent replaying situations in your mind, thinking of what you should have said, letting someone's thoughtless comment rob you of your joy. Now imagine reclaiming all that energy for your growth, your purpose, your peace. The path to emotional freedom requires us to understand that other people's behavior makes perfect sense from their level of consciousness. This doesn't mean you approve of or condone their actions. It means you understand that they're acting from their own limitations, their own pain, their own level of awareness. When you truly grasp this, you'll find yourself becoming less reactive to others' behavior because you'll understand that their actions say more about their internal state than about you. You'll see that when someone is unkind, they're acting from their own pain. When someone is critical, they're projecting their own insecurities. This understanding naturally leads to compassion, not the kind of compassion that excuses poor behavior, but the kind that allows you to maintain your peace while dealing with difficult people. It's the kind of compassion that recognizes that hurt people and healed people heal people. The practice of maintaining inner peace requires us to become masters of our attention. What you focus on expands, and if you focus on how others are bothering you, you'll find more and more evidence to support that perspective. But if you focus on maintaining your peace regardless of others' actions, you'll develop greater capacity for emotional sovereignty. Think of your attention as a flashlight in a dark room. Whatever you shine it on becomes prominent in your experience. Are you shining your light on others' faults or on your own capacity for peace? Are you focusing on what's wrong with people or on your ability to remain undisturbed? Your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. When you're at peace with yourself, you'll find that fewer and fewer things can disturb that. This isn't something that happens overnight. It's a practice, a journey of returning again and again to your center. Most people live their lives as if happiness is something that happens to them rather than something they choose. They allow their emotional state to be determined by the weather, traffic, their boss's mood, their partner's behavior. But what if happiness isn't something that happens to you? What if it's something that happens from you? The truth is, peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the ability to remain calm within the conflict. Think of a mighty oak tree in a storm. The branches may sway, the leaves may rustle, but the roots remain firmly planted. You too can develop this kind of emotional rootedness. One of the most powerful practices for maintaining inner peace is the art of blessing those who trigger you. When someone cuts you off in traffic, bless them with a safe journey. When a coworker undermines you, bless them with self-awareness. When someone criticizes you, bless them with inner peace. This practice completely transforms your relationship with difficult people. You might be thinking, but some people are truly toxic. How can I stay peaceful around them? Here's a liberating truth. You don't have to stay around toxic people, but while you are around them, you can choose to maintain your peace. Setting boundaries and maintaining inner calm are not mutually exclusive. Every time you allow someone to disturb your peace, you're essentially saying, my inner state is less important than your behavior. Is this really the message you want to send to yourself? Is this really how you want to live your life? The key to maintaining peace around difficult people lies in understanding that their behavior is their karma, but your response is yours. You're not responsible for their actions, but you are responsible for your reaction. This understanding puts you back in the driver's seat of your emotional life. Think about how much of your life energy has been drained by taking things personally. Every time you take something personally, you're assuming that other people's actions are about you. But here's the truth. Nothing others do is because of you. It is because of themselves. This understanding doesn't just free you from being bothered by others, it frees you from the exhausting job of managing other people's perceptions of you. You begin to realize that what others think of you is none of your business. Your business is maintaining your peace, regardless of their thoughts or actions. When you stop taking things personally, you reclaim enormous amounts of energy that you can redirect toward your growth, your purpose, your joy. You stop being an emotional reactor and become a conscious creator of your experience. The practice of emotional sovereignty requires us to develop what we might call spiritual stamina, the ability to maintain our center even when external circumstances are challenging. This stamina grows through practice, through choosing peace again and again, even when it's difficult. Think of each triggering situation as a spiritual workout. Just as physical muscles grow stronger through resistance training, your spiritual muscles grow stronger through emotional challenges. Each time you choose peace over reaction, you're building your spiritual. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself when you're feeling bothered is, who would I be without this thought? Without the thought that they should be different, that they should know better, that they're doing this to you, who would you be? You'd be peace itself. This brings us to a crucial understanding. Your peace is not something you need to create. It's your natural state. It's what remains when you stop adding disturbance to it. Just as the clouds don't affect the sun's existence, other people's actions don't affect your essential nature of peace. Consider how much suffering comes from resisting what is. We resist other people's behavior, their choices, their words, but resistance creates tension, and tension disturbs peace. Acceptance, on the other hand, creates space for peace to emerge naturally. This doesn't mean you become passive or approve of everything. It means you stop fighting with reality. You can disapprove of someone's behavior while remaining at peace with the fact that this is how they're choosing to behave right now. The practice of maintaining peace requires us to become masters of our own minds. Instead of letting your mind run on automatic pilot, reacting to everything it encounters, you learn to guide it toward peace again and again. This is the essence of emotional mastery. You might wonder, but what about righteous anger? Isn't there a place for that? Yes, there is. But there's a difference between conscious anger that moves you toward constructive action and reactive anger that simply disturbs your peace. The key is to remain the master of your emotions rather than being mastered by them. As we bring these insights together, remember that maintaining inner peace isn't about reaching a permanent state of undisturbable calm. It's about developing the capacity to return to peace more quickly when you do get disturbed. It's about creating a new relationship with the challenges that life inevitably brings. The ultimate test of your commitment to peace comes not when things are going well, but when you're faced with situations that would normally trigger you. That's when you have the opportunity to put these principles into practice, to choose peace over reaction. Let's talk about practical steps you can take starting today. First, make a commitment to catch yourself earlier in the reaction cycle. Notice the physical sensations that arise when you're about to be triggered. the tightness in your chest, the tension in your shoulders, the heat rising to your face. These physical cues can become your early warning system. When you notice these signals, pause. Take a deep breath. Remember that you're standing at a crucial choice point. In this moment, you can either fall into old patterns of reactivity or choose a new response. This pause, this moment of conscious choice, is where your power lives. Start viewing every challenging person in your life as a spiritual teacher, the difficult boss, the critical parent, the unreliable friend. They're all helping you develop emotional mastery. Without them, how would you learn to maintain peace in the face? How would you develop your spiritual muscles? Make peace your primary commitment. Before you commit to being right, to being understood, to getting your way, commit to your peace. Ask yourself regularly, is this worth disturbing my peace over? What's more important in this moment, being right or being peaceful? Remember that maintaining peace doesn't mean becoming passive. You can take strong action, set clear boundaries, and speak your truth while remaining centered in peace.